I could not like this Terence Crawford guy anymore. Now, I don't know him. I got to go to WrestleMania, and my son and I are a number of rows behind him. I tell the story, I say 4 rows, I say 2 rows, I say we're right behind, but it was like we were right behind him. We're right behind him. I can see everything. And he comes in with like 5 kids. And there's no nanny. I'm not 100% sure mom was there. All I saw was him, and these kids are everywhere. I mean, he's got kids on his shoulders. He's holding one. They're clinging onto his arms. When the kids wanted something, Terence goes and gets it. Terence goes and waits in line. He comes back with the licorice, and then they tell him they need a nacho, and he's got to go back and get a nacho. I don't think he saw a moment of wrestling. And I loved it. My respect and appreciation for him as a man goes through the roof, right? This is my experience. But he's one of these guys where we kind of feel like we know him. He just seems like a normal guy. You get these vibes from him. He goes on, he talks to Errol, and he talks to another reporter, and he talks to another. He just comes off as this normal guy. Now, I'm telling you this because Ilia is trying to get in the wheelhouse. And it's possible. I most certainly would not bet on that, and I most certainly wouldn't predict it for you, but I can go further with that idea. I can go further with the Ilia Crawford idea than I can with any other MMA guy who tries to go after boxers. They're just not going to get anywhere. They're wasting their breath, and they're looking weak. You're looking weak for a number of reasons. But the first is the truth, which is that you think you can make more money. Right there. As soon as you say, I need the money, I get that's real. I get it. I'm just sharing for you. To go down that road and make yourself look weak, by the way, then doing a call out that doesn't get answered, which makes, now you're double, they got 2 strikes against you, right? I mean, everything in life is baseball. 3 strikes, you're out. That's 2. And then the fact that you wasted an interview opportunity, not to mention, these aren't big headlines. If you've got an interview and you don't drop something in that interview that captures a headline, you have wasted your time. And by the way, that interviewer for sure is going to invite you back on if you do something that does capture a headline. So in that regard, I feel that is the 3rd strike, which is why I don't like these. But Ilia is different. And now Dana White is doing boxing. Everybody asked Dana the same question, which is, will you allow your MMA guys to come over? Now, I think that we have our answer because this isn't brand new. They asked Dana the same thing before TKO had boxing, when they just had wrestling. Will we see some of your fighters over wrestling? And Dana's saying, no. They're going, well, can't we bring some wrestlers in and have them fight? We've done it before. CM Punk and Brock Lesnar. Dana's going, no. And Dana's stance has never changed, which is, hey, there's strange things that happen that make you deviate from a once policy. But I feel that he's been extremely consistent on this, and we must understand that there are times, and Ilia is not there yet. Ilia doesn't have this command yet. He has enough to do in MMA. He has enough big things to do in MMA. But that doesn't mean he's not knocking on the door of that, which is why I don't dismiss it completely. Now, I want to break down some of the back and forth. I love this look from Ilia, and I just don't want you guys to miss it. Because Ilia, underneath those nice suits, underneath that representing an entire country and going to do it with class, underneath that beautiful family that he walks out with, underneath all of that, sits a dirty, rotten cage fighter just like me. And Ilia is so handsome that you guys are missing, he's a heel. Ilia's not kind of a heel, or he could be a great heel. He's a straight up heel right now. But Right, the fancy suits and the nice smile and got the wife and the kid. Just by example, it creates an image of something different, and I feel that you're missing a really tremendous character. Now, Ilia the heel is a box office sensation, way stronger and way faster than Ilia the face. And many people have said he needs to go heel. He needs to go heel. Those people are right, but what they're missing, he already did. Okay. I love the competitor, the true, dirty, rotten competitor that he is. There's only a few guys, top guys, that if you took the money out of it and you took the fame out of it, they'd show up anyway. There's only a few of them. And the more money they get and the more fame that they get, the less they are that guy. But there's still those guys, and Ilia is one of them. He's showing up because he wants to fight. He's showing up because he wants to beat up that guy across from him. So, when he gets into it with Paddy the Baddy, for example, which is in a different weight class, they got nothing to do with one another. Oh, by the way, Ilia's going to fight tomorrow a completely different guy in a completely different weight class. He has lost his mind. He's seeing red, and he wants that guy. He can't think of anything else. I love that. I mean, I must tell you, I love that. And Ilia is in that spot right now with Crawford. And the reason that this is so clear to me is because Ilia's not working. When you're working, you are performing. When you are performing, you're thinking of the lines that you use, and you're thinking about how you say them. Before you send out a tweet, you'll have ran it by your 5 funniest friends, and they'll edit it and change it, and somebody will run it through ChatGPT, and this guy knows an even funnier guy, and he's going to call him, and then you get it all printed, and then you send it out. If you go look at Ilia's tweets, these are just a real guy talking, but it's a real guy that's really gotten angry. Ilia's mad. Ilia's mad for a number of reasons, but perhaps none of which larger than the fact that Crawford stated, I don't know who he is. Now, as low-hanging fruit as that might be, I have never seen it not work. Ever. I had it done to me. I go after Brock Lesnar purely for attention, which is my job. Lesnar is the only fighter that can get on Jim Rome. Jim Rome was the biggest media source that an MMA guy had ever gotten to at the time of this story. And he had only had 2 MMA guys ever on, or 2 interviews with MMA ever. Brock Lesnar and Brock Lesnar. He had Brock and he had Brock back on again. And Jim Rome brought me up to Brock. He played a clip where I cut some real brief promo on Brock. And he asked Brock to respond to it. And Brock simply says, I don't know who that guy is. Is he in the UFC or something? That's it. Oh, it was a dagger. It was a dagger right in the heart. I was so excited when my name got brought up and it's on Jim Rome. This is huge for everybody involved. Huge for Dana, huge for the company, it's huge for everybody. Brock Lesnar didn't even know who I was. I mean, it's one of those things where this never doesn't work. Your new girlfriend is dating a guy named Jack, and you go up to her, you say, hey, I heard, and John seems like a really nice guy, right? You slip in John even though his name's Jack, and then she corrects you, and you're like, oh, yeah, yeah. That never doesn't work. So Crawford used it on Ilia, and by the way, it was very believable. When Brock did it, he was performing, right? I've known Brock many years. I don't think Crawford was. And if he was a good enough actor that I don't think he was. So now you have Crawford, who doesn't know the reigning world pound for pound #1 in a sport of MMA, of which Crawford follows. And whether he was working like Brock was, or He meant it. It works. It works every time, and Ilia went crazy. Ilia's just, you don't know who I met you at this such as right. When Ilia responds with truth, when he brings the receipts and the facts, that's what you do when you're angry. When you're performing, you respond with a lie of your own. It's just called entertainment. You're entertaining, you're performing. And I really appreciated it about Ilia. I appreciate that side of Ilia. I appreciate that Ilia really will fight anybody, that he really will take the risk. This was the big thing that Conor had. Conor had something that so many people tried to copy it and they tried to duplicate it, but they missed what Conor was doing. And one thing that Conor was willing to do was take the risk. He'd say the words, he'd cut the promo, but he'd make the walk. And there's not a lot of guys like that, no matter how good and talented they are. We see guys in boxing retire because they got some record and they got some title and they don't want to do anything to risk it. We saw Jon Jones, which we all agree is our best. And we saw Khabib do it before Jon, and we saw George St. Pierre do it before Khabib, which is get to a level of success and a level of victory and go, okay, I'm out. I don't want to risk it. Conor was always willing to risk it. Ilia, I believe, is willing to risk it. Ilia versus Crawford. Am I wasting my time talking to you guys about that? Maybe. But maybe not. There's not yet something here. But there's not nothing here either.